is Terry, and I'm the customer service manager here at SISU Mouthguards. Thanks for watching this live stream. Really appreciate it. It's what we officially call 10 Minutes with Terry. Today we're going to touch upon 3 topics, and the first one is going to be about the perforations found in the SISU Mouthguard. Second one is the water temperature that you should be using when you form your mouthguard. And the third, if we have time, I'll discuss the issues that some adults have when they have smaller mouths than the average adult. So let's start. We're going to talk about the perforations. The perforations in SISU Mouthguard are unique to this brand. They perform everything that's unique about SISU. They act, these little perforations and the little connections in between them, act like trusses on a bridge. It allows the guard to flex when it's impacted, and the energy oscillates, which means it moves back and forth between these perforations. It takes that energy and it diffuses it through the mouthguard. That, along with these areas called the crumple zone, do what we call diffusex. Diffusex energy is exactly like that. It's the energy that diffuses through the mouthguard and throughout and away from your teeth. Therefore, you do not have any dental injuries. We call these little areas crumple zone. They're very important to the entire shape of the guard. So, for example, I'll go through the fitting. SISU is very important to fit it properly. So when you have the guard and you're fitting it, you'll see these solid bite pads. And we also call them solid bars, but they're bite pads. You want to make sure your front teeth are on this solid area, and that when you crease it upwards, you're going to get a guard. I don't know if you can see that, but you'll see that the perforations are up here and below here, and right where your teeth fall is the solid bar area. It's really where they should be, and that's how a guard is fitted properly. If you fit your guard and you find that the crease where your front teeth go are on the perforations, either in the front or in the back, you need to reform your guard and make sure that when you're fitting it in, you use a mirror and you place it right there. The side bars are important as well, but not quite as important as the front, because this is where you're going to receive the blow. So when the guard is fitted properly, you're good to go. It means your teeth are protected. So here's some ideas. The perforations also help you to get a proper fit. They allow the air to flow through the holes. This is sort of a side benefit of it. So we found that was really cool. It helps with forming it and also lets the air flow, creating suction. It also, the perforations will help you drink. It actually, it's one of those side benefits also where you can drink and you can swallow really well. So you're finding that you're not drooling as much when you wear SISU guards, which is really awesome. You can breathe really easily. SISU, when it's in and it's fitted properly, it's snug. It's not so snug that it hurts, but it's snug enough to stay in place. And we find that the perforations really help this fitting process. Also, it doesn't block your airways, which is really important. Now I'm going to move on to the size of the perforations. The size of the perforations is really important. As you can see in this guard, I'm going to put it up there closer. Can you take a look at it? See yours here?
There's a little bit of a delay.
Is there? Okay. There's a bit of a delay, but this is the size. So you may see the picture in our website, and you have to remember that that guard is much bigger than a regular guard, and you'll see the holes. They look a little bit bigger probably than they are going to in real life because the guard is so large and for photographic purposes. They shouldn't be large. The perforations should be small. If they're stretched, you don't want to do that. If they do happen to be stretched, and I know that sometimes this occurs, you want to go ahead and put your guard back in the hot water and reform it. when you're fitting it, you don't need to stretch it. You just need to put the guard in your mouth and then hold it with your tongue and teeth and flip it up. There's no stretching involved. So when you flip it up, you close your mouth immediately and you use suction to form. If you try to form the guard, without your mouth closed, you're never going to get a proper fit just because you push it up this way and it comes out that way. Closing your mouth is the best way to do it. Don't stretch the holes. Don't make them really, really big. This might let some of the energy flow through to your teeth, and that's not at all what you like. This is not protecting it if it is. So let's see. The holes are enlarged. We talked about stretching. The next thing I want to talk about is trimming your guard. As I mentioned earlier, the shape of the SISU guard is really important. You'll see the perforations around the edge, but you also see a solid area on the edge and some indents. It's kind of like the shape of a mouth. These are called the crumple zones, and they're very important for diffusics and for transferring that shock away from your teeth. Definitely don't trim SISU. You might compromise the integrity of the guard if you do. Sierra's here today with me, and so sometimes I'm going to look off camera and ask her if she has any questions. So that's what I'm doing. Do you have any questions, Sierra?
What about biting down? How far you should bite down?
Okay. Sierra asked me about how far you should bite down when you're forming your guard. Naturally, when the guard is soft, if you wanted to, you could actually bite right through it. That's a really good question, Sierra. You don't want to bite right through it. I'm going to hold up my guard again because I like this fit. I think it's really good. You can see here that there's a faint shape of my teeth, but you really can't tell exactly which tooth it is and the exact outline of it. So when you're forming your guard, you want to gently put your teeth on the guard and just gingerly bite it. You don't want to chomp right through it. You need to hold it, just enough to hold it and keep it in place. So if you form your guard and it's got teeth marks in it, really big teeth marks, reform it. I mean, I think that there's no need for those really big teeth marks. You just don't need to have that. So just hold it enough so that you get the right form, because most of this is going to happen. Now we're going to talk about water temperature. When you're forming your SISU mouth guard, the water temperature should be 140 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. This is 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit for those who are on the metric system. So you don't have a thermometer. If you live with your parents, chances are you will have a thermometer. Your mom or your dad might have a meat thermometer or a candy thermometer in the kitchen. So you might want to ask them, see if they do. This is a great tool to gauge water temperature. So if you don't have a thermometer and you're positive you don't, you're just going to have to eyeball it and try to figure out. It's not too difficult to know when the water is hot enough. You want to warm the water up. You don't want it to boil. You definitely don't want to put your SISU guard in hot boiling water. And you don't want to keep it in the water either. If you happen to stick it in and it's boiling, pull it out really quickly. I have a bad story about when I boiled a guard at the very beginning because I didn't read the directions and it just didn't work. It ruined it. So you want to make sure the water is hot. Sometimes the water will begin to form bubbles at the bottom of the pan, and it will also like evaporate into the air. It's not quite steam yet because it's not quite boiling. 140 degrees is not touch friendly, so you're not going to be able to stick your finger in that. It's going to be super, super hot. So say you get water and okay, it started boiling. We'll pull it off the heat source and let it cool down a little bit. It'll still be warm. So then you take your guard and you put it in the hot water, and you'll have a fork right there, and you're going to kind of toss it around a little bit, and you'll know right away when your guard is pliable enough to fit. And you'll see if it's too pliable, that means the water probably was a little too hot. You want to let it cool off before you put it into your mouth. If you put a super hot guard into your mouth, chances of biting through it are going to be a lot more easily. So back to the temperature. You're going to have to eyeball it. It's not too difficult. You don't want it to be too hot. And conversely, if it's too cold, you'll know it too, because the guard is not going to get pliable. The guard is just going to stand there. It's going to be in the bowl, and it won't form. It simply will not mold. So another thing to keep in mind is once you do take it out and it's the right temperature, try to form your guard as quickly as possible. Put it in, close your mouth, use the suction. If you try to manipulate it too much, it's going to cool off, and you're not going to like your mold.
How long do you have?
Sierra asked me how long it takes between pulling it out of the water and when it actually starts to harden. And I would say probably about 30 to 40 seconds. So if you've got the guard out of the hot water for more than 30 or 40 seconds and you don't like the fit, go ahead and put it back into the hot water. That's a really great question. So don't boil your guard. And I guess we have just a few more minutes. I wanted to talk really briefly about how some adults have a very small mouth. Of course, this is really subjective, but we don't recommend any adult using a kid's guard because the warranty is not guaranteed if you do. If you have more questions about that, always feel free to call. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that if you have questions, we're always here during regular business hours, Eastern Standard Time. The phone number is 800-444-0570. If you're in Canada, it's 734-389-7400. We have live chat during regular business hours. And also feel free to leave a message on live chat or contact us at customerservice@sisuguard.com. Let's see, next month is going to be December, and on the 30th, it's on Wednesday, we're going to do 10 with Terry again, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much for tuning in.